37 American soldiers died yesterday. Not from German bullets, not from artillery shells. They died because their commanding officer made the wrong guess. May 14th, 1944. Northern France. A reconnaissance unit pushed 3 miles east of their position based on intelligence that reported German armor staging near Caen. The intelligence was wrong. There were no German tanks. But while the Americans were searching empty fields, 2 panzer divisions rolled past their undefended flank and cut them off. By the time reinforcements arrived, 37 men were dead, 12 more captured, all because someone somewhere read a map wrong and believed it. The officer who ordered that movement, Captain Robert Hendricks, did not die that day. He shot himself 6 hours later in a field hospital outside Portsmouth. The nurses found him with a service pistol in his hand and a letter to his wife on the table beside him. The letter said 5 words. I killed them all myself. This is what happens when military intelligence fails. Men die, not in battle, not fighting. They die walking into traps because someone told them the enemy was somewhere else. Staff Sergeant Harold Dahl Lehner learns about Captain Hendricks 3 days later when he arrives at Camp Forest, Tennessee. He is standing in a warehouse with 1,100 other soldiers who do not look like soldiers. Most of them are thin, pale, men who failed marksmanship tests, artists, radio engineers, set designers from Broadway, the kind of men the army does not know what to do with, the kind of men who get assigned to supply depots or sent home. But they are not going home. They are going to France, and they have been told they will save lives, thousands of lives, by lying. Colonel Harry Reeder stands at the front of the room and lights a cigarette. He lets the silence stretch until it becomes uncomfortable. Then he speaks. In 3 weeks, we invade France. 150,000 men will hit the beaches at Normandy. German intelligence knows we are coming. They do not know where. Right now, they have 15 panzer divisions sitting in reserve across northern France. 15 divisions. That is 225,000 men, 3,000 tanks. If even 3 of those divisions reach Normandy in the first 48 hours, our troops will be slaughtered. Do you understand what I am saying? Slaughtered. Trapped on the beaches with nowhere to go. 10,000 dead in the first 6 hours. Maybe more. He takes a drag from his cigarette and lets that number hang in the air. Your job is to make sure those panzer divisions do not reach Normandy. You will do this by convincing the Germans that the real invasion is happening somewhere else, 150 miles northeast at Pas-de-Calais. You will make them believe that General Patton is assembling an army group of 150,000 men in southeastern England. Tanks, artillery, airfields, supply depots, an entire fucking army. Someone in the back raises his hand, a private named Jack Macy, who worked as a graphic designer in New York before the war. Sir, how many actual troops will be in southeastern England? Reader looks at him. 1,100. You. The room goes quiet. Someone coughs. Someone else shifts their weight, and the floorboards creak. You will use inflatable tanks, fake radio signals, sound effects. You will become actors, the best performance of your lives. Because if the Germans figure out you are fake, if even one reconnaissance pilot sees through the illusion, those panzer divisions will roll west, and our boys on those beaches will die. Do you understand? No one answers. Reader nods to an aide who pulls back a tarp in the corner. Underneath is what looks like an M4 Sherman tank. Except when the aide taps it with his boot, it wobbles. The whole thing is inflatable rubber. 60 pounds. A real Sherman weighs 30 tons. We have 600 of these, Reader says. The Germans cannot tell the difference from 500 feet up. But rubber is not enough. We need sound. We need them to hear an army assembling. Tank engines, trucks, construction equipment. We need audio that will carry 15 miles to their listening posts on the coast. And we need it in 72 hours. Lehner feels his stomach drop. 72 hours. 3 days to build a system that can project sound 15 miles. loud enough to convince German intelligence officers who have spent years analyzing battlefield acoustics. It is impossible. After the briefing, he walks outside into the Tennessee heat and lights a cigarette with shaking hands. Two other men from the sonic unit follow him. Private First Class James Brophy, a recording engineer from Warner Brothers, and Corporal Tony Spiner, who worked in radio broadcasting in Detroit before getting drafted. 3 days, Brophy says. They want us to fake the sound of 300 tanks in 3 days. Lehner does not answer. He is thinking about Captain Hendricks. 5 words. I killed them all myself. If the sonic deception fails, if the Germans do not hear what they are supposed to hear, men will die. Not 37, thousands. And it will be his fault, his name on the report, his failure that gets soldiers killed on a beach in France. He takes a long drag from his cigarette and makes a decision. We are not faking the sound of 300 tanks, he says. We are faking the sound of an entire armored division. 15,000 men, 500 vehicles. And we are going to make it so convincing that German commanders will move their panzers north and sit there waiting for an invasion that will never come. Spina looks at him. How? I have no idea, Lehner says, but we have 72 hours to figure it out. That night, Lehner does not sleep. He sits in an empty office with a notepad and sketches amplifier designs by lamplight. The problem is not just volume. Any idiot can make something loud. The problem is authenticity. German acoustic analysts are not stupid. They know what a Sherman tank sounds like at idle versus full throttle. They know the difference between tracked vehicles and wheeled vehicles. They know how sound behaves at night, when the air is cold and dense, versus during the day when heat distorts it. If Lehner plays a simple recording, they will know it is fake within 5 minutes. He needs to recreate the entire acoustic signature of a mechanized division. Every engine note, every gear shift, every metal tool clanging against metal hull. He needs overlapping layers of sound that mimic real military movement. Vehicles starting at different times, engines revving up and down as they accelerate and brake, ambient noise, voices shouting orders, wind, rain, silence, then sudden bursts of activity, and he needs speakers powerful enough to project all of that 15 miles without distortion. At 4 in the morning, someone knocks on the door. Lehner looks up. It is Colonel Reeder. You should sleep, Reeder says. Cannot sleep, Lehner replies. Reeder sits down across from him and pulls out a flask. He takes a drink and offers it to Lehner. Whiskey. Lehner shakes his head. You know about Hendricks? Reeder asks. Lehner nods. Good man. Good officer. Made one bad call and 37 soldiers died. He could not live with that. Reeder takes another drink. You are wondering if you can live with it. If this fails. If your equipment does not work and men die because of it. Lehner does not answer. Let me tell you something, Reeder says. Hendricks died because he was alone. He made a decision by himself, and when it went wrong, he carried all of it. You are not alone. You have a team. You have engineers and technicians, and every resource the United States Army can provide. So if this fails, it is not on you. It is on all of us. Do you understand? Lehner nods. Good. Now get some sleep. You have 71 hours left. But Lehner does not sleep. He works through the night and into the next day. He calls engineers at Bell Telephone Laboratories, where he worked before the war. He requisitions parts from military supply depots. He sketches and calculates and builds prototypes. The first test happens on the second day. He has assembled a crude amplifier system mounted on the back of a half-track. It is loud, painfully loud, but when he plays a recording of tank engines, it sounds wrong, distorted, like a broken radio. Brophy listens and shakes his head. The Germans will never believe that. Lehner adjusts the frequency balance, tries again. Still wrong. He works through the second night, 48 hours left, then 36, then 24. On the third day, he thinks he has it. A massive amplifier built onto a half-track. speakers the size of refrigerators mounted on rotating frames. He loads a test recording, a loop of Sherman tanks moving in formation, and hits play. The sound is overwhelming. Even 200 feet away, it feels like the ground is shaking. They drive the system out to a remote field and test the range. Lena sends Spiner down the road with a radio. 1 mile, 3 miles, 5 miles, 10 miles. At 15 miles, Spiner radios back. I hear it. Low rumble. If I did not know better, I would say there are vehicles moving east of here. Lena exhales. It works. But there is no time to celebrate. They need 6 of these systems. They need recordings of different vehicles. They need to coordinate with the visual deception team and the radio operators. Everything has to sync perfectly. On the 4th day, Colonel Reeder brings in a German prisoner of war, a Luftwaffe officer captured 2 months earlier in North Africa. They play the recording for him without explanation. The German listens. His face changes. "That is a panzer regiment," he says in accented English. "Maybe 80 tanks. You have compromised communications in this area?" "Why?" Reeder asks. "Because I would report this immediately if I were still flying reconnaissance." Reeder looks at Lena. It works. But that night, Lena gets a letter. It is from his younger brother Danny, 20 years old, infantryman, 29th Division. He is somewhere in England right now, training for the invasion. The letter is short. "Hey Hal, do not know when you will get this. They are not telling us much, but I think it is soon. Maybe a week, maybe less. I am scared. I will not lie. But I am ready. Whatever happens, I want you to know I am proud to be your brother. See you when this is over. Danny." Lena reads the letter 3 times. Then he folds it carefully and puts it in his pocket. Danny will be on those beaches, if the deception fails, if the Germans do not believe the sound, if even one panzer division breaks through. Danny will be there, under fire, trapped. Lena goes back to work. 2 days before D-Day, the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops ship out to England. They arrive at a staging area in Kent, southeast of London. The camp is chaos. Artists painting camouflage on inflatable tanks, radio operators setting up transmitters, engineers digging fake vehicle tracks into mud. Lena unloads his equipment. 6 half-tracks now, 6 full speaker systems, enough to simulate an entire armored division. A major from intelligence approaches with a folder. "Your target coordinates. You set up here, here, and here." He points to marks on a map. "German listening posts are at these positions. We need them to hear convoy activity starting tonight. 2200 hours. Do not stop until you receive the abort signal." Lena looks at the map. The coordinates are close to the coast, within artillery range if the Germans decide to shell the area. What if they fire on us? Then you move. But keep the sound going. We need those panzers sitting at Calais while Normandy happens. If they move south, our boys are dead. That night, Lena and his team move into position under cover of darkness. They park the half-tracks in a wooded area, camouflage them with netting, run cables to the speakers. At exactly 2200 hours, Lena checks his watch. Somewhere in the channel, troop ships are moving toward France. Somewhere in those ships, Danny is waiting, scared, ready. Lena thinks about Captain Hendricks. 5 words. "I killed them all myself." He reaches for the power switch. Then someone grabs his arm. It is Brophy. His face is white. "We have a problem." "What problem?" "The main amplifier. It is overheating. If we run it at full power for more than 30 minutes, it will catch fire." Lena feels his stomach drop. 30 minutes. They need 72 hours of continuous operation, 3 full days and nights of sound to convince the Germans that an army is assembling. 30 minutes will not be enough. "How long to fix it?" Lena asks. 6 hours, maybe more. They do not have 6 hours. In 48 hours, men will be landing on beaches at Normandy. If the sound does not start tonight, if the Germans do not hear what they are supposed to hear, those panzers will move south. Danny will be there. Lena looks at the amplifier, then at the map, then at his watch. 21:58, 2 minutes until they are supposed to go live. Run it, he says, but it will catch fire. Then we will put out the fire and keep going. Run it. Brophy stares at him. You are insane. Maybe, but we do not have a choice. Run it. At 2200 hours, Lena throws the switch. The sound of tanks fills the darkness. It rolls across the fields, echoes off hills, carries on the wind toward the coast 15 miles away. Lena imagines German soldiers in bunkers hearing that rumble, reporting it up the chain, panzer divisions shifting north. He checks the amplifier temperature gauge. It is already climbing into the red zone. 29 minutes later, smoke starts pouring from the vents. The transformer on System 3 explodes at 23:34 hours. Not fails, explodes. A sharp crack like a gunshot. Then white-hot metal fragments spray across the half-track bed. Lena spins around. Orange flames shoot 6 feet into the night. The smell hits him first. Burned copper, melted rubber. Then he sees Brophy stumbling backward, clutching his right hand. The skin is blistered red. What happened? Lena shouts over the roar of fire. Transformer blew. Brophy gasps. Tried to kill the power, but the switch melted in my hand. 2 soldiers spray foam from extinguishers. The flames die, but the transformer is destroyed. Blackened metal, melted coils. System 3 is gone, and with it, 7 miles of acoustic coverage. German listening posts in that sector will hear nothing, will report no activity, will create a hole in the intelligence picture. Lena checks his watch. System 3 ran for 94 minutes before it exploded. If German analysts were monitoring continuously, they just heard sustained tank activity suddenly cut to complete silence. That is not how real armies sound. Reroute System 2, Lena orders. Angle the speakers north. Fill the gap. Brophy wraps his burned hand in gauze. System 2 is already maxed out. If we push farther, Germans might not hear anything. Then we increase volume 20%. I do not care if it burns out too. We cannot have silence. Sir, if System 2 fails, we lose 2 zones. Do it anyway. The speakers rotate. Sound shifts northward. Thinner now, distorted. But something. 4 minutes of silence before coverage restored. 4 minutes for German intelligence to notice the gap and start asking questions. At 01:15, a runner brings a message from Colonel Reeder. German reconnaissance flight spotted circling your area. Taking photographs. Visual deception must be flawless. Lena crumples the paper. If Germans photograph the burned half-track, they will see equipment failure. They will see soldiers fighting fires. Maybe they will think it is normal military activity. Maybe they will get suspicious. He does not know. And uncertainty is worse than enemy fire. At 0200, another runner arrives. This one carries a letter. Urgent family correspondence. Lena recognizes Danny's handwriting immediately. Hal, we got orders. Board transports in 18 hours. Briefing today. They told us 30% casualties first wave. 30%. That is 11 men out of 38 in my platoon. I keep doing the math. I might be one of those 11. I am terrified, but I am ready. See you when this is over. Danny. Lena reads it once, folds it, puts it in his breast pocket next to the first letter Danny sent a week ago. 2 letters. One from before Danny knew the odds. One from after. 30%. 11 out of 38. Lena tries to light a cigarette. His hands shake. The match goes out. He tries again. Same result. He gives up and walks into the darkness away from the generators and the burning equipment and the shouting soldiers. He walks until he cannot hear anything except wind through trees. Then he stops and bends over with his hands on his knees and tries to breathe. 11 out of 38. Danny could be one of those 11, and the only thing between Danny and German panzer divisions is this deception, this lie told with rubber tanks and sound recordings, a lie that just lost one of its 6 systems. Footsteps behind him. Brophy, right hand bandaged, face pale with pain. Your brother? Brophy asks quietly. First wave, Lena says. Lands in 22 hours. Brophy nods. He will make it. Your brother is tough. 30% casualties, Lena says. 4,800 men. What if he is one of them? Then there is nothing you can do about bullets, Brophy replies. But you can make sure panzers are not waiting for him. That is why we are here. That is why we run this operation. So your brother has a chance. Lena straightens up. Brophy is right. He cannot stop bullets, but he can keep German armor away from Normandy beaches. They walk back together. At the command post, 3 messages are waiting. First, German High Command requested additional aerial reconnaissance. Low altitude. Dawn tomorrow. Detailed photographs of suspected Allied staging areas. Second, German double agent Garbo reports suspicious activity. High Command considering possibility of deception operation. Third, Shaft directive. You have 12 hours. Make German intelligence absolutely certain Allied forces are at Dover. No room for doubt. Lena reads all 3, then sets them down carefully. Low altitude reconnaissance at dawn. Germans flying at maybe 300 feet instead of 3,000. At that altitude, they will see paint texture on dummy tanks. We'll see rubber seams. We'll know the tanks are fake. He grabs the radio. Get me Captain Ingersoll. 603rd camouflage. Now. Ingersoll comes on 2 minutes later. What do you need? Germans sending low recon at dawn. 3 hours from now. If they fly low enough, they see our tanks are rubber. We need to hide details, or this whole operation collapses. How? Smoke, Lena says. Controlled fires. Diesel burns. Make visibility so poor they cannot photograph clearly. You want me to set fires across the staging area? Real armies burn things. Cook fires, fuel spills, brush clearing. If German pilots cannot see through smoke, they cannot see fake tanks. What if they know we are hiding something? Then we are fucked anyway. Set the fires. 2 hours, Ingersoll says. But if this goes wrong, you owe me a drink. If this works, I buy you the whole bottle. Soldiers from 603rd move across fields in darkness. 50-gallon drums belch black diesel smoke. Wet wood piles hiss and sputter, pumping thick white clouds. Within 90 minutes, visibility drops to 100 feet. The dummy tanks become ghost shapes, dark silhouettes in shifting fog. Lena breathes the smoke. It burns his throat. Good. That means it is thick enough. At 0520, aircraft engines, high-pitched twin engines. Fokker-Wulf FW-189 reconnaissance plane approaching from the east. The plane comes in low, maybe 400 feet. Circling. The pilot cannot see through the smoke. He makes a second pass. Lower. Still nothing visible except shapes in fog. Third circle. Then the plane turns east and disappears. 30 minutes later, a message from Allied intelligence. German agent Garbo reporting. Reconnaissance photos inconclusive due to weather. German High Command requesting confirmation through alternate means. Intelligence now actively considering deception possibility. Lena feels his stomach drop. The smoke worked too well. Germans could not see anything. Now they are suspicious. Now they wonder if bad visibility was deliberate. If German High Command seriously considers this might be deception, they will look for inconsistencies, and they will find them. System 3 still down. Burn marks visible. Gaps in coverage. He needs something overwhelming. Something that crushes doubt. All sonic units. Lena radios. Maximum output for 6 hours. 130% capacity. I do not care about equipment strain. Make it so loud Germans cannot possibly doubt what they hear. We will burn out at least one more system, Brophy warns. Then we burn it out. Doubt kills us faster than equipment failure. Push everything. He switches channels. Lieutenant Simonson, 3192nd signal. Go ahead. Triple your radio traffic. Every frequency. Orders, logistics, weather reports. Flood German intercept capacity. Real armies generate massive communications. We shout, copy, lighting up every channel. For 6 hours, Ghost Army runs the most aggressive deception of the war. Sonic systems scream at 130%. Speakers vibrate so hard, bolts rattle loose. Lena feels it in his chest. Bass thumps syncing with his heartbeat. 200 yards away, soldiers cover their ears. The sound is not just loud, it is physical, like standing inside a jet engine. Radio operators transmit continuously, hundreds of messages per hour, supply requests, fuel requisitions, medical coordination, all coded but structured, so Germans identify message types without breaking codes. The 603rd maintains dummy installations, moves equipment to simulate rotations, adds new inflatables to suggest reinforcements arriving. At 1100 hours, System 4 starts overheating. Temperature gauge climbs into red. They keep running it. At 1400 hours, message from Schaff. German intercepts indicate high command no longer questioning Dover buildup. They are convinced. Rommel ordered 2 additional panzer divisions to Calais positions. Deception holding. Lehner reads it 3 times. It worked, despite failures, despite suspicious reconnaissance. The lie held. German High Command believes Operation Fortitude, believes an entire army group stages at Dover. Rommel keeps his panzers at Calais, far from Normandy. At 1800 hours, sun sets, orange and purple sky. Across fields, diesel generators hum, sonic systems still running, still projecting the lie. Lehner thinks about Danny, boarding a transport ship right now, checking his rifle, writing final letters, getting ready for 12 hours from now. Danny will never know about Ghost Army, never know his brother spent 3 days lying to German intelligence to buy him a chance to survive. And that is fine. Lehner does not need recognition. He just needs Danny to live. At 2300, Colonel Reeder arrives. 3 days without sleep. Uniform stained with sweat and dirt. Final intelligence update, Reeder says. German High Command confirmed all Panzer reserves staying at Calais. They think Patton invades there within a week of Normandy landings. They think Normandy is a diversion. He lights a cigarette. You did it. Ghost Army pulled it off. We convinced German High Command to make the worst strategic mistake of the war. How many lives? Lehner asks. Schaff estimates 5,000 to 15,000, Reeder says. If Rommel moved panzers to Normandy in first 48 hours, casualties would have been catastrophic. Instead, our troops hit beaches with minimal armor opposition. Because of you, because of this operation. Lehner thinks about that number. 5,000 to 15,000. Danny is one of them. At 0500 on June 6, 1944, final order arrives. All sonic operations cease. Power down. D-Day has begun. Lehner walks outside. Sky growing light. Dawn over England. Somewhere across the Channel, 156,000 men hit Normandy beaches, including Danny. Lehner does not pray, but he stands in early morning light and thinks one thought. Please let him make it. In the distance, aircraft engines, thousands of them. Largest invasion fleet in history, flying toward France. The lie worked. Now real soldiers finished the job. The Ghost Army would run 21 deception operations between June 1944 and March 1945. They would simulate entire divisions, misdirect German forces at critical moments, save an estimated 15 to 30,000 Allied lives. For 51 years, they would be forbidden from telling anyone what they did. Operation Fortitude succeeded. Rommel kept his panzers at Calais for 48 critical hours after D-Day. By the time he realized Normandy was the real invasion, Allied forces had established an unbreakable beachhead. The lie worked. The soldiers lived. And Harold Lehner never told his brother Danny what he had done to save him. March 18th, 1945. The last great deception of the war. The 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, better known as the Ghost Army, embark on their boldest operation yet, Operation Viersen. Their mission, to trick the Germans into believing that the 9th United States Army, about 40,000 strong, is preparing to cross the Rhine River 10 miles south of the actual crossing. If successful, this illusion would draw enemy forces away, ensuring the real crossing would face minimal resistance and save thousands of Allied lives. The sun sets over the lower Rhine Valley. Shadows stretch across fields south of the German city of Viersen. Hundreds of soldiers move swiftly and silently, inflating rubber tanks and trucks under the cover of darkness. Inflatable artillery pieces rise like ghosts from the mist. Canvas tents appear from folds, forming makeshift camps. Artists meticulously weather the surfaces, painting realistic mud splatters, chipped paint, and battle scars onto the rubber vehicles. A bulldozer earns its keep, carving fake tank tracks into the dirt, winding through the dummies as if real armor had trampled the earth. Nearby, a group sets controlled fires, feeding black smoke into the night air, just enough to obscure the shapes, but not so much as to alert the enemy. Lehner and his sonic crew deploy 6 speaker systems around the perimeter, turning the countryside into a theater. Recordings of tracked vehicles crunching over gravel roads, diesel engines idling, and distant artillery fire flow from massive speakers. These sounds, designed with layers of overlapping noise to mimic real troop movements, vibrate through the ground and drift on the breeze. Amplitude pushed past rated capacity, their rocketing bass drums and engine roars attempt to drown out any hint that this massive force is fabricated. Each minute, a balancing act between fidelity and risk, overheating machinery, threatening to implode, just as German listening posts lurk within hearing range. In the early pre-dawn hours, a German reconnaissance Focke-Wulf FW-189 descends lower than usual, circling the area multiple times. Sweat beads on Lehner's brow. One wrong move, one clear image revealing those tanks as rubber decoys, and the entire ploy collapses. Dense plumes of smoke from controlled fires swirl beneath the aircraft, diffusing the lens's clarity just enough to keep it guessing. Each pass tightens the knot of tension threading through the Ghost Army's ranks. Seconds stretch into an eternity as the reconnaissance plane finally breaks off and disappears into the dimming horizon. Then the words hit. Garbo reports German suspicion growing. High Command demands more proof. The danger. Lehner's gut tightens. Now the ghosts must shout louder. The sonic systems are pushed even harder, shaking trees, rattling speaker bolts, and sending earth-shaking bass pulsing across acres. The radio operators flood the airwaves with a cacophony of fabricated transmissions, orders for artillery, logistics, supply calls, injuries, an overwhelming cacophony designed to overwhelm German intercept stations. The 603rd Engineers constantly relocate their inflatables, simulating troop movements and reinforcements, a dance of deception to maintain the illusion. Under relentless German artillery harassment, a nearby half-track is hit, 2 soldiers injured. The ground shakes as shells scream overhead, the reality of their ruse's danger stark and immediate. Failure here means soldiers die, not only among the real troops, but possibly among themselves. Hours pass, with nerves stretched thin. Then relief. Intercepted German communications reveal that High Command has fully bought the deception. Additional panzer divisions rush toward the fake build-up near Düsseldorf, leaving the real crossing at Viersen lightly defended. Lieutenant General William H. Simpson's Ninth Army crosses the Rhine largely unopposed on March 24th, thanks in part to the Ghost Army's masterful illusion. As dawn breaks on March 24th, Lehner allows himself a rare moment of quiet triumph amid the war's chaos. The weight of the deception, the endless hours, the risk, all converge in this victorious exhale. Operation Viersen was their last and probably their greatest mission, a theatrical masterpiece of rubber, sound, and smoke that altered history. But for Lehner and the other ghost soldiers, the war was far from over. New illusions awaited. New lives depended on the next great con. This operation demonstrated not only the power of deception, but the imagination and courage of the men who turned lies into life-saving truths. Their legend would remain hidden for decades, a secret army of shadows whose greatest weapon was illusion itself. May 1945. The war in Europe is dying, but Harold Lehner can't breathe. He stands alone among the ruins of Berlin, cigarette smouldering between trembling fingers. The air is thick with dust and the ghosts of battle. His heart is heavy with memories, friends lost, battles waged not with guns, but with shadows and smoke. 50 years of silence press on him like the shattered buildings around him. Lena's thoughts drift to Danny, his younger brother. Danny lived, but he never knew why. The 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, better known to the world as the Ghost Army, were no ordinary soldiers. They were artists, actors, sound engineers and designers, gathered from peaceful civilian lives and thrust into a secret war of illusions. Across 21 major deception operations, they spun phantom divisions from rubber and sound, armies that marched, moved, and roared under moonlight, fooling the enemy time and again. They created rubber tanks shimmering under moonbeams, blasted recordings of armored battalions across fields, and wove fake radio chatter into enemy airwaves, all to save an estimated 15,000 to 30,000 Allied lives. But with every triumph came silence. For over 50 years their story was buried, classified, their heroism unspoken, their faces unknown. Lena remembers the weight of this secrecy, the cost it extracted. To live with a heroism no one acknowledges, to carry the burden of lives saved in shadows. Yet among those shadows were legends. Bill Blass, who would reshape the world of fashion. Ellsworth Kelly, whose minimalist art now hangs in New York's finest museums. Art Kane, the photographer whose portraits became icons of an era. Men who traded brushes and cameras for inflatable tanks and sonic deception, who painted victory with imagination and courage. They lived contradictions, laughter in the dark, bonds forged under peril, pride shadowed by anonymity. They faced dangers few knew of, half-tracks blazing under artillery, inflatables punctured by bullets, alarms sounding through the night. Yet their greatest peril was the risk of being discovered. After the guns fell silent, these men returned to lives veiled in secrecy. They volunteered for humanitarian relief, comforted survivors, and struggled with memories no one else could share. Family dinners were often quiet, the trauma woven in unspoken glances and half-told stories. For years, their deeds were a closely guarded secret, until 50 years later, when the veil was lifted. In 1996, declassification revealed the Ghost Army to the world, and in 2024, surviving veterans received the Congressional Gold Medal, a nation's highest civilian honor, finally recognizing their extraordinary sacrifice. Lena never sought fame. He never told Danny about the deceptions that bought him a chance to survive the beaches of Normandy. Now, under the free sky over a united Europe, Lena allows himself to hope. Hope that their invisibility protected a generation. Hope that imagination wielded as a weapon changed the course of history. And hope that lies told for truth will be remembered as the greatest weapon of all. They were the invisible shield, the lie that saved a generation. And for 50 years, no one knew, not even the soldiers whose lives they saved. The world forgot them, until now. War is full of secrets and unseen heroes. Subscribe to hear their stories. Share your thoughts on deception as a weapon in the comments, and give a like. Help keep their secrets alive for future generations.